I'm Rebecca Carner. Today we are finishing the final tuning video of the 4 Agreements series, which is always do your best. A particular favorite of mine. I love tuning towards this. I love working with this agreement. I am going to start, as I always do, in this Earth Star chakra just below the collective feet. Wow. And it feels like a really thirsty person trying to quench their thirst by sucking through one of those really tiny little cocktail straws that are actually meant to only stir, but sometimes you can like suck a little bit of liquid through them. Yeah, so we're going to stay right here and open this up a little. If you imagine the opening of a lens on the inside of a non-digital camera from back in the day, the aperture, how it kind of twists and opens. So imagine this energy center that is the bottom port through which your energy body taps into and receives an upward flow of energy. So really imagine kind of dialing that tube, that opening, that portal more open. And all you have to do is do the best you can, because that's what our agreement is today, to do our best. And, you know, it sounds like a really easy ask, right? Always do your best. I found when I started working with this agreement initially, kind of subversively packed into this whole concept, always do your best. Sounds pretty straightforward. But when you really work with it, it tends to bring up the embedded feelings of lack of worthiness or any way that low self-esteem or certain character insecurities that all of us have of different natures come into play in this agreement. A colleague of mine years ago was telling me, was reading or listening to Eckhart Tolle, and to be fair, I've never gone back to see if this is in his work, but her takeaway from his work, such that she related to me, so in my mind it's from Eckhart Tolle, but maybe this is her own genius, I don't know. But she was talking about the difference between sort of what we say we want and what we really, really, really expect will happen inside. And the part of Eckhart Tolle's work that she was aware of and considering at the time was speaking to that differential. Like, I say I want a wonderful new job, and I tell my best friend and my mom and my dad and whatever that I think that I'm qualified for it, but deep inside my heart says, I don't know if I'm going to get the job. I don't know if I'm worthy of the job. I'm so afraid that they're not going to want me, even though I know I could get this job. So it's that sort of bravado that we put on to the public or to others, and then there's what we really, really think inside. And this always do your best has that same quality about it. Because most people would say, probably socially, to people they knew well or people they didn't really know very well at all, yeah, I wake up and do the best I can most days, yeah. Like, I feel like a lot of people would say that. But at the end of the day, how many people would all of those same people, when laying their head down upon their pillow at night, do they think to themselves, man, I really did my best today. Way to go, Rebecca. You rocked it out today. Good job. Do you really say that? Or as you're laying down, do you actually say, well, I woulda, shoulda, coulda done this. I should have done this. Well, that was a stupid thing to say. Well, God, I could have done that. Well, I didn't work out today, or, blah, blah, blah. That's, if I'm not mistaken, most people fall into the latter category. So while they might say, oh, yeah, I do my best. I try to bring my best self to work every day, or to my children, or to my family, whatever. You might say that, but do you really believe it? And do you allow that whatever you did was your best? Oh, well, now that's a real different sentence. It's like always do your best is this prompting for a perfection, the best. Not the best, your best. And the back end of this agreement then asks at the end of any given measure of time, at the end of the day, at the end of the morning, at the end of the meeting, whatever, can you say that was my best? Even if you don't deem it the best, did you do your best? And can you have that be enough? Will you grant yourself that measure of worthiness? Whew. Because nobody is going to allot that to you. That is something that you can give yourself, and that is something that only you can give yourself. Yeah, that really, wow, that really opened this up. Okay, really good work, like epically awesome work. Yay! And as I come around, the thing, it really bears repeating. Wow. Let's start that again. Whee! Ooh, the head. Okay, wow. The head is super engaged on this one. Maybe in an overthinking kind of a way. Best. Wow, you say the word best and people's just like, well, I can do better. Well, was that the best of it? It's okay, right. So this isn't a call. So this agreement is not about judgment. And it's not about defining. It's about acceptance. That whatsoever you have done, that was your best at that moment. It was some years ago now when I first came upon the 4 agreements, and I thought they were pretty cool. I had never seen that book before, and I had never kind of worked with theories in a practical way such that these had offered me an opportunity to do. And my kids were maybe, I don't know, they were probably still in their upper single digits at that point, definitely pre-adolescent, but big kids, not toddlers anymore. And it was at the time I came upon these agreements at the time of my life when I was separating from their father. And during the course of that transition in my life, I was in the throes of assessing myself and figuring out what I had been doing that I didn't want to do anymore going forward, and what had I been doing that was something that I wanted to keep. I was sort of taking inventory and tidying up what I wanted to keep and what I wanted to go in my life. And I remember thinking about always doing the best, and there were things that I did when my sons were little that I don't think I would parent that way again. I know I would not parent that way again. But at the time, with everything that I knew then, even though I deem myself as having done pretty poorly at some different times with them in particular, it was the best I knew how to do then. So I did do my best. And I carried a lot of grief and a lot of remorse for a really long time. It took me a long time to come into acceptance that I had, in fact, done my best when I would remember certain things that I wasn't proud of and that I wouldn't choose to repeat. But to allow for myself that today Rebecca wouldn't do those things, I hope. But at the time, that was my best. And so this agreement isn't about judging, like, was that my best? Did I do my best? Like, whatever you did, that was your best. Now, given that that was the best that you knew how to do then, if you reflect upon it and think, oh, I might do something a little bit differently should that come up again, great! Because then when it comes up again and you do that other thing, that's your new best. Your best is always changing. It's not a static state of affairs. Because what's your best today is yesterday's news, is yesterday's best tomorrow, and so tomorrow's best is tomorrow's best. Like, you can always up your game whilst always doing your best. It's interesting, the part of the energy body that asked for some touch-up were the knees, and the energy around the knees, the knees aren't considered heavy-duty, heavy-hitter chakra point. All of the sort of traditional chakra points are dotted along the torso, and then it's like they skip down into the earth, and then there are chakras up above our heads and all sorts. But the knees on the physical body are such a remarkable energetic fulcrum because they represent propulsion, they represent agility, our knees, I mean, if your knees were locked and fused in place, you could maybe get a little hop with just your ankles, but it would be super hard. Like, our knees are about propulsion, they're about jumping, they're about leaps, they're about agility. to really pump one's knees would mean that you're running, right? So it's about speed as well and progress. The physical knees are such a useful joint, and the energy that they represent on the metaphysicality is sort of equally applied and practical. And I find it interesting. So always do your best. Like, do we perceive are there perceived hurdles to doing our best? Because if whatever we do is the best we could do, like, all right, so again, I'm filming this during the coronavirus happenstance. So what if the best that you could do today was power eat your last packet of Oreos and cry a lot? Okay, you know what? That's your best. Great job. Great job. Great job crying. Great job eating those Oreos, man. Sweet. You nailed it. That's okay. That is your best. If your best is to go run in circles around your property because that's all that's available to you, and you feel a little silly afterwards, that was your best today. If your best is volunteering at some Doctors Without Borders COVID-19 relief station and you saved 7 people's lives today and helped get creative ventilator support to people who needed breath today, and that was your best, then that's your best. Great job. Thank you. Yeah, it's the knees. I kind of see, kind of like a tennis player, how they kind of bounce at the ready. It's this kind of bobbing motion of can you accept? Can you accept that whatever you did is your best? You know, we tend to get so hung up on what other people think of us, right? Well, I could think it's my best, but what if so-and-so thinks I could have done better? Is that still my best? Oh, guess what? Yep, still your best. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if Sally Sue across the way there thinks Rebecca could have made an infinitely better video. Okay, maybe. And maybe tomorrow I'll make a super awesome, HBO quality video. But until then, I guarantee you, every one of these videos is the best I can do today or that day. And just because Sally Sue across the way thinks that Rebecca could produce a far finer video, that doesn't make it true. I have to both deem what I do as my best and have that remain so, even should somebody else scrutinize that assessment. But it's interesting because when we really accept things about ourselves, it's like this, it's that funny catch-22. You can't get a job without experience, but you can't get experience unless you get a job, okay? So there's the same sort of conundrum of, I'm so afraid that people are going to judge me if I accept this about myself. Except when people truly accept something about themselves, when you truly embrace yourself in a holistic and authentic way, far fewer people scrutinize you. Or maybe they do and you just don't give a hoot. I don't know, but it's weird. I have found that when I embrace parts of myself that I wasn't super duper proud of or didn't necessarily like, but when I think, well, that's a part of Rebecca, oh, okay, come on, girl, come climb on in. There's plenty of room. I accept that part of you, Rebecca. It doesn't come up. Nobody says, oh, Rebecca, you got that part of you that I don't like, that part of you that I think is a little something something. Nobody ever says that to me. They're like, hey, Rebecca, I'm happy to see you. Yay. So only you get to deem whether something is your best or not. And that can never be taken away. And if somebody does really get up in your gums about something, oh, well, and they start woulda, coulda, shoulda-ing you can firmly and compassionately say, that's interesting. Thanks, Sally Sue. I'm glad you watch my videos. I'm glad you think I can do better. If you have any light or sound equipment that you can lend me, I'm more than happy to. I'd love to improve my videos. And until I figure out a way, or if you don't have any useful information for me, then this is the best I can do now. Just like own it. I mean, what's Sally Sue going to say to that? Nothing. It's really nice and easy. Yeah. I would say for the average person of a Western mindset, the challenge on this agreement isn't about the practice of actually doing your best. It's after you've done anything to know that it was your best. I personally have yet to meet anybody who wakes up and actively and intentionally thinks, I'm going to be a shitty person today. I mean, have you ever met anybody who said that? Yeah, man, hey, I woke up on Thursday and decided I was just going to be the ugliest, crappiest person I could be. Like, nobody does that. Everybody generally wakes up and does try to bring their A game, right? So the practice on this isn't the actual doing of the best. It's that you can remember that what you have done was your best. Yeah, wow. There we go. In the other agreements, like the don't make assumptions, the challenge is in the practice of it. Don't assume. In real time, can you express? Can you ask a question? Can you ask for what you want? Can you ask for clarification if you don't understand what somebody's saying to you? The challenge is in enacting the agreement. On this one, it's not about enacting the agreement. We almost do that by default. You can pretty much know that you're doing that you've been doing this agreement for forever. It's, can you recognize that you've been doing this agreement for forever, since before you ever knew about the 4 agreements. That's the challenge on this one. So in that way, it's a little bit different. Wow, guys, this feels a lot lighter. interesting. I've worked the four agreements for years, right? But I've never tuned towards them. I've never used them as material in this way. It's material I'm super familiar with, but I've never used the material in this way. And this was a lot of fun. It was super interesting. It's interesting how light, because this, like all the other agreements, be impeccable with your word. You have to know what you're saying. Okay, again, you have to catch yourself in real time. Don't take things personally. Again, you have to catch yourself in real time. Did I take that as a personal affront? Did I take that compliment to give my life new meaning? You know, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, don't make assumptions. Again, have to catch yourself in real time. This last one is really different because it's already happening. You've already been doing it. So it's really about, after the fact, crafting the story and holding on to the story in 2020, you know, in hindsight. So interesting. Such a subtle shift, but it makes the working of the agreement a little bit different in that way. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this series on the four agreements. I really have. I got a lot out of it. I got a lot out of using this material in this way for tuning themes rather than just interpersonal agreements to work with in my own life. Clearly, because of when I filmed this, there was a lot of super specific to the COVID-19 global situation, but should you be watching this at any time in the future, the four agreements are great practices to incorporate in your daily life, regardless if it's in a global pandemic situation or not. Anyway, I wish you the best. Please like and subscribe. Please visit RebeccaCarner.com if you'd like information on Biofield tuning or to book a private session. I wish you very, very, very much wellness. Enjoy your agreements. Enjoy your life.